Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Bailey Braun, and we're getting really close to fall. We're just a little over a week away, and with that we've seen a lot of active weather lately. Last week all of the rain that we were seeing was from a former typhoon, and that was Typhoon Pipa, and that's why we had so much rain. So today we'll just kind of be looking at what we're expecting this weekend and looking ahead towards the work week and just fall in general. So just jumping right in, we do have our daylight hours, and as you know, those are shortening really fast, so make sure that you're aware when the sun's coming up and when it's going down, because our daylight hours are just going to get shorter and shorter. So make sure you take advantage of that while you can. Now, I wanted to include a fall foliage map because it is fall. One of the greatest parts about fall is getting to see all those beautiful colors changing. So here's a map to show you when exactly we're going to start to see more of those colors start to bloom. And for here in Anchorage, we're going to see that mostly in late September. So we're only a few weeks away, but most of the state is already seeing that right now for mid-September. But late August was kind of the peak for up in the North Slope. Then on the left you can kind of see just where we're starting to see the low amount of color versus the peak in past colors, and that's right there for right now, for what we're seeing right now. So like it shows, we're just a little bit low for those colors to moderate, so we're getting there, just a few more weeks, and that's what we can look forward to. Now I wanted to include what Denali is looking like right now, and this is from the FAA weather map, or the weather camera, and you can already see all those low-lying clouds. We did get quite a few inches of snow over there in the higher elevation regions, and this was last week, but most of those higher elevation regions, even just across the state in general, we're seeing a lot more of that snow starting to roll in. We're going to start to see that a little bit more progressing into the week, mostly for Monday and Tuesday, but still, it's kind of nice to see. You know, we've got those fall colors blooming already with some snow. I think it's just a beautiful sight to see. So we're going to jump right into our weather headlines. Today we have our photo from Albert Howard, and you're going to see that fall equinox happening in just about 8 days. So just a little over a week away from fall really happening, and it's exciting. I'm excited. It'll be my first official fall here in Anchorage, but we do have drier conditions on the way for South Central just for the weekend though, because storm system number 2 is on the way for Monday. So that's what you can expect to see moving in towards the work week. But it is still staying relatively dry throughout the state in general. But for Anchorage, we're already seeing that average last 60-degree high. That's coming up in just a few days, typically for September 17th. But that could have already happened. That could be tomorrow. You never know. But that last 60-degree day is coming up, so it's coming to an end, those warmer temperatures, and we're already starting to see that average in the mid to low 50s. And for tomorrow we're going to see an average high of 55 degrees for Anchorage, but what our average first 32-degree temperature. So our first freeze is late September, and that's what we're going to expect to see. I'll jump into that in just a second, but then our average first snow, we're still a little over a month away, but still, you know, we had a pretty cold week, so that's coming up. It's going to come up faster than you know it, but just looking at our average first freeze across the state, like I said a second ago, September 24th is when we're going to see that here in Anchorage. Temperatures were already pretty chilly. The coldest day we've had so far this season was just yesterday, and that was 42 degrees for the low. But then for Fairbanks, it was also yesterday, and that was 38 degrees. So it is getting colder, but Fairbanks is already about a little over a week overdue for that first freeze. So it's coming up soon. It's going to happen within the next week to 2 weeks. So if you're a gardener, it's really important to know that. Just keep your eye out. But within the next week to 2 weeks is when you can expect that first freeze. Now, just looking at our temperature changes from yesterday. Yesterday, our high temperatures were 5 to 10 degrees below normal, not just below the day before, but just in general below normal. Here in Anchorage, we're already 7 degrees warmer than what we saw yesterday, and that's average. So we're right at those seasonal averages for us here in Anchorage, and pretty much across the state, we're relatively average in those temperatures. But it is going to change a little bit looking ahead into next week. Right now, we're already starting to see a little bit of those remnants from the storm that we had last week, and that's just pretty much hanging out in the Copper River Basin. We're not really seeing anything else here in Anchorage or even in Matsu. So those remnants are going to die out just a little bit heading into tomorrow, but then it's going to pick back up starting on Monday. So just looking at our forecasted precip totals, we're going to collect up to ½ inch of rain, and that's including what we've seen today and what we'll see tomorrow. So it's not just for tomorrow, that's what we are going to see accumulated from today until tomorrow night. So ½ inch in Whittier, and then a little less than ¼ inch of rain over in Cordova. But we're not really seeing too many of those totals around the region, other than Kenai being the only one that's even close to that. So should get a little bit more scattered showers moving on through, but I want you to pay attention to the bottom of what we're looking ahead to. So you'll notice a lot of green and yellow moving on through. That's the next storm system that we're going to be monitoring. So the next low pressure system moving on up from the Alaska Gulf, that's going to be bringing in moderate to heavy rainfall for Juneau, and that's a special weather statement that's been issued. We're going to start to see a little bit more showers rolling on in more towards the middle of the week. So going into Tuesday here in Anchorage, that's what we're going to start to see. But just southern Alaska in general is going to get quite a bit of rain from this system. You're going to notice a little bit of pink and purple popping up. That's some mixed precipitation, including sleet, frozen rain, and then of course snow is what we're seeing in purple. So those higher elevation regions can expect to see just a little bit of snow by the time that storm system starts to move on through. So that special weather statement is what I was just talking about, and that's that moderate to heavy rainfall that can be expected for southeast going into Monday and Tuesday. Now that gale warning is in effect for tomorrow night. That's also from that low pressure system, so that's that second system that we're continuing to monitor. Now just looking region-wide, we're already seeing those temperatures cool down quite a bit. I mean, Fairbanks in the 40s right now compared to what most of the other places in Alaska are seeing right now, especially for South Central. We're seeing temperatures in the mid to low 50s, but Fairbanks is seeing those temperatures in the 40s, and they're going to continue to see that going into tomorrow. And for Ketchikan and just southeast in general, still holding on to those temperatures, a little bit on the warmer side, temperatures in the mid to low 60s. So southeast Alaska, you're going to see those temperatures in the low 60s and up in the upper 50s, but those cloud conditions are going to stay relatively decent, mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies and some gusting winds up in Yakutat, but that's about it. Still staying relatively dry until we get into Monday. Now for interior Alaska, we're seeing those temperatures dropping down quite a bit, down into the 40s for our highs, and you're already getting close to those freezing temperatures in Healy and in Fort Yukon. We're seeing those temperatures getting close to 32, but not quite there yet. So I think within the next couple of days, the interior is going to start to get those freezing temperatures, but we'll see when that first high temperature below normal is going to be, but that should be by the end of September and early October is what we're expecting. So just cloudy conditions for Fairbanks and for the interior moving into tomorrow. North Slope is going to have those temperatures pretty chilly down in the 30s, and like I said, those below freezing high temperatures should be coming up in the next couple of weeks by the end of the month and beginning of October. But at this rate, it could be next week. It's already cooling down quite a bit and pretty fast. So higher elevation regions could get some snow as we progress through the week next week, but western Alaska is going to get those temperatures in the mid to high 40s, and that's what we're seeing. Relatively dry conditions staying partly to mostly cloudy for tomorrow, especially those coastal regions. That's where we're seeing those mostly cloudy conditions, but still staying relatively on the cooler side of things. The Aleutian Islands are going to see temperatures in the 50s tomorrow, but still staying relatively sunny. So partly sunny to mostly sunny skies, but some gusting winds every now and then, gusting at 20 for Cold Bay and then up to 25 in St. Paul. Now as we move into South Central, we're seeing those temperatures staying in the mid 50s for the Kenai Peninsula specifically. Seward is going to get just some light rain, not really a lot whatsoever, but it's still worth noting you'll get some light rain. And then Kodiak is staying mostly cloudy, and the Copper River Basin still holding on to that rain. Whittier more specifically and Cordova still collecting that rain. So that's going to continue through tomorrow, and then of course as we get closer to Monday and Tuesday, that's when we're going to start to see a little bit more rain starting to move on in. Now for Matsu, still staying relatively dry. We're going to see some of those mostly cloudy conditions and temperatures in the mid-50s, and that's also what we can see in Anchorage, those mostly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-50s for tomorrow. So with our 7-day forecast, we're seeing more of that rain starting to roll in towards the middle of next week. There's going to be a few more systems rolling on in that we're still looking at right now, but you're going to get some scattered showers. Could be earlier in the morning and then into the late evening hours, and that's when the rain and scattered showers are most likely to occur just in general. So don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow and there's a little bit of rain happening. It's still going to be mostly cloudy for tomorrow for your sky conditions. But Fairbanks is still staying relatively cold, 48 degrees compared to what Monday is expected to be in the mid-50s. So cloudy skies on the way for tomorrow, pretty much all week long, especially those mostly cloudy skies. So that's kind of what you can expect for tomorrow to wrap up your weekend. Hope everybody's having a great weekend so far. Of course, we still have tomorrow, and tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy for a lot of regions. So partly cloudy to mostly cloudy for some areas. So with that, hope everyone has a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you back tomorrow.